We're learning today a sicha. Parshas, this week is Parshas Behar, and we record the sicha. When we learn the sicha, is project Likkutei Sichos Chelek. Behar together. We're going to learn a sicha in Behar, Likkutei Sichos Behar, sicha Gimel, the third sicha of Behar, Likkutei. Very geschmack sicha, and it's very interesting to note that this sicha is the Rebbe explaining. The Rebbe is a very two shilas in the Parshas Shavua, and it looks like there's no answer in Likkutei Torah. The only answer that there is in Al-Chassidus. What I remember from always is we have two places for sure that I remember now that we learn. The Rebbe says that at Nigle there's no answer. Eliezer went to bring Rivka for Yitzchok. He says that he had Kvisa Saderech, Hayem Yitzosi, Hayem Bosi. All in all, that have to take 17 days to get there. So the Shaila is Rabbi Shalom. What's the big? Yitzchok was not 19, 20 years old. It has to get married before when Shmoynes Lechupe was already 4 years old. So another 17 days. The Rebbe said only al Pichsides. Second thing is what I remember now is when it says in Parshas Kiseitze or Kisovoi Kiseitze, it says Kisivne Bayis Chodosh Vositza Michael Legagecho. What do you mean Kisivne Bayis Chodosh? If you buy a old house, you don't have to make a Michael. Michael is only about this. Also, Pichsides can be the answer. Here's the same thing. We're going to learn something. Somebody sell themselves to a Nochri, and about coming out. No answer al Penigle. There's no answer what it is. There's only one mephorish that gives a little answer, as we're going to mention soon. Oy Shale. Na ido sich war kauft als an Nevet zu Nochi, sagt der Posik, Keule Titel. He has to be redeemed. Tielo. Echot me'echot Yigolen. One of his family, one of his brothers, one of the Eden should redeem it. Oy doidoi, a uncle, ben doidoi, a cousin Yigolen. Oy, if he doesn't have an uncle, he doesn't have a cousin, who should take him out? Sorry, as long as he's related to him. Or what could happen that he still had a dollar left when he sold himself. He went and he bought a lottery and he won the lottery. So there's a mitzvah he has to live. He's not allowed to be a evet by a goy. Or Isigo Yodoi Vinigal got a Yerusha from somebody all of a sudden, so he has to redeem himself and go out. And then say there in Posuk, according to the order that it's a Posuk, who has to take him out from being a slave. Echot me'echot doido ben doido misher psoroi. Lernt man out, Rebbe brings down the Teras Kohanim, the Rambam, and the Kesef Mishlech. Everybody talks about it. The Torah is emphasizing the Seder, who has to redeem it. What does it say? A korov koidem. And is the obligation to take him out. Obviously, a brother is first, a sister. Then if he doesn't have, go to the uncle, go to the cousin, go to somebody further. But it goes according to the Seder, who is obligated to take him out to redeem it from being a slave. The Korah, was his nenter, is free to go in seinem Eved. Whoever's closer, he has to take him out. Davon verstehen, the Rebbe is asking a beautiful questions, unbelievable. Wenn der Nimkale Nochi allein is in a matze von a Sigo Yodoi, is doch gemoven koidem von alle Kroivim. If I say that there's a possibility that he won a lottery, or he got a Yerush, so who is the closest to himself? He is the closest to himself. He should have started with the Sigo Yodoi. Why do we start with his uncle and his brothers and his uncle and cousins and everybody? Start with himself. Und wir bald auf Posuk recht durch die Kroivim, es wir lernen, dass die Teuraskani mit der Rambam say that kol ha-korov yourself, whoever's closer the mitzvah is anem. So the mitzvah anem is the first, like we say that there is koidem negulot, or if he's there, so mal emerst gedacht stehen, wie Isigo Yodoi v'nigal. If he has the money, he should redeem himself. And there's the north. Oy blo Isigo Yodoi, if he didn't find the money, so the Rebbe has the question, now comes to the bottom line of the question, should have been the first thing. If it goes according to relation, he's the closest to himself.
But seemingly, not a real answer, but just to understand the question more, it's not so applicable. The problem was because he had no money. All you see here is a far up, right?
So now the problem is, why don't you come every week? Because the people are looking now, or 5, then we're going to learn. Boch shekivanto. Mamish, what the Rebbe is saying. Let's in our 5. After bedoichak, as you said, it's a doichak. There's a very simple reason why it doesn't mention at the beginning. If he sold himself because he has no money, he's going to be the less that he's going to find. The Rebbe is continuing. Geule al de kroivim efshoris take vachash nimkar. He went and he sold himself because he doesn't have money. Who could redeem him? A brother, a uncle, a cousin. And the Rebbe says, Mashenkin al de atzmo is matzev shel moch. Why did he sell himself? Because he's poor. So the matzev de visigo yodo is in time. It looks like not. Rebbe says it's not doichek, and still, why don't you mention it? Because again, if you go according to Korah, don't look at Zman. If you find in the street money as you go to, you sold yourself. Tomorrow you have to go to move into his house. You become a slave. And the way you find money, a mitzvah, you must redeem yourself right away. So he's the first one. Okay. Now base. This is one beautiful question. Base. Bald der Posuk rechem tois kama vekama koivim. Und in a Seder von a Korov koidem, unbelievable. Oder als ersten Korov gedarf sagen, Oviv. Was ist mehr Korov viele wie Ochiv, wie der Dim bei Yerusha, so auf koidem lochim. Bepoil wird Oviv im Ganzen nicht der Mond Posuk. There is a very interesting halacha. There's a halacha that forbids somebody passes away and still has a father, and he has brothers. Who has to yash? He doesn't have kids. Who has to yash them? Not the brothers, the father. So the same thing, the father is the closest to him. How come father is not mentioned? Not only should have been the first one, he's not even mentioned the last one. Nothing about the father. What's going on here? Not understood. It doesn't make any sense.
And also about sons.
Again, you're very good cheating. You looked in Aura 7. Let's do Aura 7. Well, there is actually no pain. If he has a son, who is yashing him the son, not the father. It's the opposite of the normal situation. A father is sustaining a son, not a son a father. Okay? Yeah. Why did you if you have the money, why did you let him go sell himself? So that's why we're not mentioning it.
The same question.
Okay, so why don't you mention about
stealing from the son, you know?
the difference? Who is killing? Who is going to kill? Yeah.
No, so I'm saying there is something like that, you know. The son doesn't have money. He's going to the son to find some money, and he's not going to kill him. But he's going to take it.
Right. Okay, the selbe Shaila. Now comes a very interesting thing. We have the selbe Shaila, the same question we have in Parshas Chumash Bamidbar in Pinchas, and the Ramban has the question. How come though he doesn't mention it? Nobody mentions it here. What do we see? The selbe Shaila fragt man in Parshas Nachlas, wo der Posuk rechnet dem Seder von Yerusha Sakroivim, who is in order to inherit somebody who passed away. Rechnet der Seder von Yerusha Sakroivim, Ishki Yamus, wo beinein loy. What do? Warten es nach Lossoi, Lebitol, Leochi, Achioviv, Lisheira Korvelov, also with order. And lost is Ovim. Don't mention any Ovim. God forbid, in case he passed away, he has a father. His father is the first one. Kommt Lirosh far Echov Kenal, as we said before. When answered, as the answer, the Ramban gives the answer. The Ramban asks the question, he answers. As derech brocho yedaber, v'loi ben nechrosi. The Torah was talk about brocho, not chas v'sholem, somebody passed away, and he has a father. That's what not. Al pi aloch is the first one. If it happens that somebody passed away and his father is there, he's the first one to be yoyish. As derech brocho yedaber, v'loi ben nechrosim. Nechrosim means that if somebody dies young, he has a father, means nichras. It's correct, same before the time. Der Posuk redt nicht wegen einem Fall von Poronius. As the Ben is meis, bechaye Oviv. But noisav lozer. I'm just going to mention now, I think here's the place that we find. I looked around and asked people. The only one that talks about by us, the question that the Rebbe asks, is the Rabbi Barbanel. Rabbi Barbanel is asking, how come you don't mention a father? So he says, because the Torah is coming to tell us, if there is a father, he wouldn't have been sold. He wouldn't have sold himself. The father would have let him. Either would have given money to leave, or would tell him you can't do such a thing. You can go sell yourself. But the Bible gives the answer, but the Rebbe doesn't accept it. It's not an answer for us.
What's the case of Yitzhak?
But
when is such a case that a Yid needs to sell himself?
it's coming up. It's coming up. According to what Rashi says, we learned Chitas, I think on Tuesday. Somebody didn't. The parsha starts with Shemitah. Somebody was not careful in Shemitah, and he didn't do tshuva, so he sells his metal to him. After he sells his metal, he didn't do tshuva, so he sells his karka. He sells his karka. There's no luck. There's no panos. There's no bread. He has to go sell himself to a Yid. Not enough. The Yid doesn't give enough money. He goes and sells himself to a goy. The goy doesn't give enough money. He sells himself to avoid Zoreh Mamish. We're going to learn soon. Everything is detailed in the Torah. Nothing. Yes, sir. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. Yesterday. Yes. Aber Neusav lo ze, also dort is in Parshas Nachlois. The Rebbe is going to say like this. Even the Ramban is answering with the answer there, I'm also not accepting it fully. But here for sure, the answer doesn't apply. Let's see how the Rebbe is explaining. Neusav lo ze, in addition, also dort, in Parshas Nachlois, ist nicht in ganzen glatt, it's not so simple what the Ramban says. Warum wir bald so seinen Inyonim, was seine Neugeya lealoche, because it's Neugeya lealoche, at lechoire cannot nicht auslosen Ovim, zu dem, was es ist nicht derech brocho. Fragt, es gibt an Afshorus Litois, as the Rav is nicht kein Jörisch. Somebody's going to learn Chumash, and he's going to open up a Chumash, he's going to learn, let's say, in Pinchos. He's going to learn somebody passes away, who is yashning him? Brothers, uncle, cousins, and he's going to say, till he's going to come to Gemara and Rambam in Shulchan Aruch, he's going to say, our father is not Jörisch. So a person could make a mistake. Why don't you tell me of it? Because you tell me that it could be that we're going to start with Brocha. Let's learn a very interesting Geschmack, number 12. Al derech ma shenisbayer kam upon very Geschmack. Nisbayer kam upon Likkutei Sichos Chelek and Chelek Yud, v'negia lo shomru Razal. Gemara says in Psochim, Ike makosu v'lo yitzu dovo m'gunim epiv. When it comes to Noach, you have to take into the table animals. It says 7 from the Torah. Kol abeim asher eineno te'oiro, taking 2. Say abeim atmeo, taking 2. Or can't do that. A chazir, a chamor, anything that it's not kosher, taking 2. Why is it asher eineno te'oiro? So the Gemara says that the Pasuk added on 8 words instead of saying, what did I say? It was. He came across of 8 oishes. I'm sorry. He came across of 8 oishes. And he said, Asher ineno te'oiro. So the Rebbe says in the Sichas very Geschmack. All this that he came across of, but it's not Negeya Laloch. It's a story. Noach had to take it in the Teva. But when it comes in Parshas Shmini, a few weeks ago, it's a Chazir, it's a Gamal, and it's an element. There's no such thing. Kitom meyu. Kimale Geiro, Kimafus Parsho, the Geiro lo Igor, Tomayu lochem. When it comes to Alocha, there's no such thing as saying because of Broch and not Puronis. So the Rebbe says, according to the Ramban, I have no answer. And in footnote number 13, the Rebbe is adding on the question even more. You tell me who is the first one that is asking him? His brother, then his uncle. But the son, yeah, that's clear.
Talking about it comes to that.
Bein Eloi, it's clear. Yes, it's clear. It is not a broche. So tell me also about the Hav. And especially it's a loche. Okay. And even the Rebbe comes back now to the question, in addition that I don't accept the Ramban even in Nachles. But when even the was Retzich nicht wegen der Matze von Ichosim. Don't talk about it died before his father. But the Posik darf sagen, also gleich beim Onei, der Din as der Av is koidim legule. Should have told me first that the father is the first one to be redeeming. Ois base. Kemen das beweisen sein beektem was Chazal sagen. This is the Chitas yesterday with the Rash. As the Parshas from der Sedre, again, just to mention that according to what Rebbe is going to answer, is that the Pnimis and Yonim, in English, the Torah, we don't ever answer why Av is not mentioned, and nobody is telling it. Kemen das beweisen sein beektem was Chazal sagen. As the Parshas von der Sedre kommen alla Seder. Sie beweisen dem Seder Ayeride Rachmon el-Islan, was kann kommen, doch nicht ob in der Mitzvah, viele noch von Avko, von Shviz. What happens? If somebody is not careful in Avak Shviz, is begashmiyes, is losing his metaltenin, losing his karka, losing his entity, is going to sell himself to Aid, into Agoy, to avoid the Zorah, the same thing is in Ruchnias. It's not only Gashmiyes that he doesn't have money in selling himself, he's going down in Ruchnias also. Every day another level, till he sells himself to Agoy. Where do we see it in Ruchnias? We're going to see in next column how it goes down in Ruchnias. Just to mention for a second, what is the idea of Afka from Shviz? When I prepare the sicha, I ask a few people, then I see, it's things that we don't learn it so much, these details. Shviz, in the Torah we learned in this parsha, beginning of the parsha, Rabbi Moshe Behar Sinai, Kisavoy el Haaretz, Sheish Shonim Tizra Sodecho, v'Sheish Shonim Tizmor Kamecho. Okay, and Shona Shviz, Shabbos Lashem. Yeah. So what is the mitzvah of Shviz? The main mitzvah of Shviz, not plowing, not planting, and not cutting. Efker. I don't do nothing there, and it's not mine. I have to open up the gate. Whoever wants to come eat whatever comes out by itself, you could eat. You could also eat because it's Efker. So you're also a guy of Efker. Now comes a shaila. If I could eat, maybe I'm going to take some fruits and sell. Instead of eating or with eating, It's Efker, it's eating a lot of oranges. And people didn't come. I'm going to take off a bag, go to the market and sell it. Go to next door neighbor. Or people that they don't know that it's Efker, I'm going to sell it. So how do I know that you're not allowed to sell it? Because it says, Yelochem le'ochlo. That when it comes Shviz, you're not allowed to plow, not allowed to do nothing, but you could eat from it. So the Gemara learns, le'ochlo ve'lo l'schoiro. So now, where do I learn out the love that you're not allowed to sell it? From an essay. So the alosh in Gemara, the alosh in aloch is a very geschmack. It's love abom mi essay. It's not a love. The Torah doesn't say loy limkoy. It says le'ochlo. So because it's a love that comes from essay, so it's called afka. It's only a vak shviz. It's not a real shviz. The real shviz is not plowing and not all these things. So even if you fell through in avka shel shviz, what happens to them? Let's learn inside.
You know, we do principle also with the loans, or that's something else, right?
This is because Shmitas Ksofim. No, Shmitas Ksofim. Yeah.
Not after, should it something after?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's about business, no? Business.
Well, you just described his money.
Could be. Okay. I didn't think of that. Yeah. But no, there's a loss in there that when it comes Shviz, you're not allowed to clear, you're not allowed to ask for the money. So there's a mitzvah say. It's not a learn that from our lawyers. That's clearly any loan that you give, forgive it, and that's it. Not allowed to demand. So the choyret there, it's mamish Shviz. Okay. So let's see what happens. He wasn't careful enough because Shviz. Früher is a goyre mazers moicher metal club. The Rebbe brings him to matze, he doesn't have money. Bi odortem geht am Yeride bis tachlos Yeride Rachmon litzlan, as a verkauft sich zu Anochi. Not enough. Noch mehr le'eker mishpachas ger. What does it mean? What's mean? He's selling himself la'avoide zoro atzmo. Leo is lo shtamesh. We're going to learn later that he's not sold himself chas v'sholem to use avoide zoro. He's just serving the avoide zoro. He's selling himself to a goy, and the goy tells them one of the conditions that he is buying him, you're going to have to bring water that they use for the avodah zarah. You're going to bring wood to make the fire there. But chas v'sholem is not. But it's a terrible thing. It's going to be a mishamish le'avodah zelili. If verstandig im Pashtus ist das nicht nur. Now this is the main point that the Rabbi is saying. Verstandig im Pashtus ist das nicht nur ein Yeride in Gashmias. Also muss verkaufen alle seine Nechos und Chulu. Bis zu verkaufen sich allein und dazu noch zu Anochi. Let's not only talk about Gashmias. Noch es beweist auf a Keseder dicken Yeride in Shval Amatzev Beruchnes. That is going down not in Gashmias, but is going down also in Ruchnes. Rebbe adding on in 21, he didn't do tshuva, so that's what happens. It goes down in Ruchnes also. Okay. Warum? As Aid soll sich verkaufen zu Anochi, the Rebbe gives two reasons that it's not good. Is das Aleph, Eipech HaTeuro, yes, before, it's Eipech HaTeuro, Mentor sich nicht verkaufen zu Anochi, the Rebbe brings an Rambam Nilchus Avodim, brings dann vom Teures Koine mit Sifri, und Beis, das ist Amatzev, was es gibt an Ort, if Akosal Kedait auch, Oil ve Rabbi Megal HaRayos, Oil vida Avodah Shelili, Mechalel Shabbos, Avani Kemoishe, we learned that in Rashi yesterday. Rashi says that if he sells himself to Eiker Avodah Zorah, you know what's going to happen? It's going to go by a week, in 2 weeks, in a month. And he says his Balabos, Arayis means nothing by him. Avodah Zorah means nothing by him. Maybe I'm his slave, maybe I'm also allowed to do. So it's the worst thing that could be that he could come also to do these averas. Mechalel Shabbos, Avani Kemoishe. Valachas kamo v'kamo, der verkaufen sich la'avodas elilim atzmo. Was avodas elilim atzmo is der Eipech Mamish von Libnei Yisrael avodim. You take away the idea that we are slaves to the Eibishter, you make yourself a slave to somebody else. Aure 23, no? Because Alpiteras. Because of his master.
Amen.
That's for Alpeloch that is allowed. Very good. Okay. Reminds me from last week what we learned. It is mortal with Chochem is more Chaim Bloy from the friend. Because who is it, you know? And he has to, he needs me also to teach him and everything. Okay, Ois Gimel. Wie kann darauf an so niedrig, bis zu verkaufen sich Avodah Zarah Matzmo? How could it be that I should sell himself to Avodah Zarah? Ob sie das Son damit, was hat sich abgerissen und vergessen, Rachmone Litzlan, auf Hovische Bashomayim. Bemele, euch was ben Leovish Bashomayim. He forgot about the connection with the Eibishter, and Bemele he forgot about the love from his son to his father. Both things, Veirosoi, Ave and Ire. Lashon Kosu, it says in Malachi, Ben Yechabed Ab. The Eibishter says that a son is always gives honor to his father. The Rebbe is finishing up. Vim avoni, aye kvoidi. If I'm your father, where is your honor? I don't see that you're doing it. And the Rebbe brings on 26 also a geschmack that why is the problem is that he forgets about Ave ve'ire. Ave is the root. If you have Ave to the Eibishter, you do the mitzvahs al same. If you have fear of the Eibishter, you're careful not to not do the mitzvahs loisesim. Losh Chassidus, we just said that he's forgetting about his father Bashomayim. In Chassidus, it comes out, by him is nicht begilu die Prinne von sein Ab. Sein Chochma shebenefesh. He lost the Chochma shebenefesh to Ab. We always learn in Chassidus that Av ve'eim is Chochma ubine. Same as Av ve'eim in Gashmias, in Moilid have kids. Same thing, Av ubein. Av ve'eim, Chochma ubine. If you meditate and you learn Chassidus, you think about it, brings you to be moirer the midas to Av ve'eim from the Eibishter. The Alter Rebbe is Mevai Baruch in Tanya. The Alter Rebbe is explaining in Land. As the Sibbe for what Said can know was an Eforotz no Elyoin. How could I be over on Avere, what the Rebbe said not to do? It was ein Chochma shebenefesh. What is Chochma shebenefesh? It's higher than the Sech. The Emune Bashem, which is Echab und Das Vasoge, is Beprinas Shoine. He is it, but it's sleeping. The Mele der Rat und ich mit durch jeder Avere, viel an Avere Kalo, wird nicht at betachlis apirut mi khir vardus isbor. The Alter Rebbe is explaining very geschmack. We see here as something very interesting thing that it doesn't make any sense. You see a kalshi bekalim, he has v'sholem, he did divorced Avere, and 2 minutes later, as he's doing the Avere, comes over a guy and tells them, either you bow down to the idol or I kill you. What does he do? Kill me. What happened? What's the difference? Difference is very simple. Very geschmack. When he does Avere stam, the Eibishter, my God, it's wrong. I want to do it now. I'm not disconnecting myself from the Eibishter. When it comes, he tells them, bow down to the idol. He said that this is your God. I'm disconnecting myself. Alter Rebbe said in Gan, if I would think that the smallest Avere is disconnecting himself the same as with this, he wouldn't do it. That's the idea what the Alter Rebbe is saying. The Rebbe is going to say it inside now. If you would feel and internalize that with any Avere gets disconnected, Punkt, wie durch Avodah Zarah, the same thing, wollte dabei gestanden, dem Nesoi mit demselben Träger. He wouldn't have done it with the same thing. Kill me and I'm not going to do it. Wer und jeder Ried, afil akal shebekal mekwesh Yisrael, seien sich moiser nefesh al kedusas Hashem, listen to the Lashon of the Alter Rebbe in Tanya. Bli shum das ve'izboinenus. Aipech. Mesiras nefesh is higher than das. It's not das. Rakeilu dovo she'efshar klal likpor ba'avaye. He can't. So if he would meditate as it's supposed to be, he wouldn't do it when a small Avir. Now we're going to come to understand. He's moving the time. Pnimi was Oviv. Wird nicht der Mond da und nicht im Parshas Nachlas. Now we'll understand why Av is not mentioned. Again, Pnimi is saying, what is his problem? How did he get to a situation that he could come to sell himself to a Eid, sell himself to a Goy that has Tzepech HaLoche, sell himself to a Avodah Zarah that is disconnecting from Libnei Israel Avodim? The worst thing that could be. How could it come? Because it doesn't have a Av. That's what the Torah is not mentioning in redeeming an Av to teach us. How could he sell himself? Because he doesn't have a Av. That's what the Torah doesn't say Av. But Av is mechuyev 100%. Who is the first one to redeem himself? He himself. But the Torah doesn't say it because it's almost impossible. He's just sold himself today. How could you say Vesigo Yoda the first thing? But Av, if the Av has money, he has to take him out the first one. So very geschmack the answer. We have both answers. Why Vesigo Yoda? We have one answer on why not Av, why not in the first one. We answer later. Al Pizay is moving the time. Pnimi was Ovi wird nicht der Mond not in Parshas Nachlas. One maybe somebody would help us. Why it's not here? I understand. Why is it not in Parshas Nachlas? Why is Ovi not mentioned in Parshas Nachlas? He passed away, and the Yerush has to go to his father.
That's the next line.
What?
Was it? Oh,
Because he
mention.
Etzem dying. Etzem that he died before his father. Shows on a Misa of Chochmah.
By this.
If he has a father, he would not have been died. In Ruchnis and Yon. Okay. Der in a Misa beruchni is Reshem Shebchaim Kruim Mesim. Oda Bedakis Yoisel. Said in Zoya, man that noch is mit Darge, not only died. Somebody who is not in the same level as yesterday, he didn't go up, or Chas Shalom he went down. Kore Bimisha, says the Zoya. Call him dead. Nehmen Sie davon, was ist Felder gedenken dem Ovish Bashomayim. Because you forget about Ovish Bashomayim, that's what happens. The Gilui from Prinas Chochmah Shebenefesh, that this is called Av. Das ist Prinas Shene. He has it, but it's covered, it's sleeping. But Shene is Echot Meshishim Lemiseh, as the Gemara says in Broches, it's one of 60 in like that. When by him is Doda Zikoron. If he would have the Zikoron, is the Kvoidi. When is Meir Prinas Chochmah Shebenefesh, is by Chochmah Techaye. He says in Koheles a Chochmah Techaye. If he has the Chochmah, it's not sleeping, he would have the idea of being alive. Wouldn't be dead. See, the lost Misa Ruchnis. I feel any feeling in Madrigosri, but not Misa, and even not falling down from his level. And mit Prinas Chochmah Shebenefesh is the avoide von Aiden mit dem ganzen Teuke für Emunah, Echa von Shinuim. Now we'll understand why we're not mentioning Av. The whole problem here is to teach us that how did they come to such a level? Because Av was Beshene. He didn't have the idea of Av. So the Torah doesn't tell us that Av could redeem it. Ois that. Keshem wieder Matzim von ihm kalle noch ikenales bepnimis Yeride Ruchnis. Is verstandig as so is benegah sein Gule. The Rebbe added down that Begashmis he loses his money, he doesn't have money, he sells his furniture, sells his metaltalin, then he sells the field, then he sells himself. Same thing is the redeeming is also in Ruchnis, not only Begashmis. Teure sagt on, Teure tells us, Geule Tieloi. As eine Kreuve der Loch ist, muss nicht Goil sein. Das ist ein Mitzvah, der to redeem it. Und noch mehr, it says Geule Tieloi in a very interesting Loshen. The Rebbe is learning what means Geule Tieloi, Loshen Avtoche. The Rebbe says Maftiach that he's not going to stay there. He's going to come out. Either way, either somebody's going to redeem it, or he's going to find some money, or there's the last result. You're not allowed to sell to a goy. You can't sell yourself to a goy only to 50 years, or 20 years, but Yovel comes up before. When it comes to Yovel, he must go out and go back to the he's no more a slave. So Savtoche that he's going to be redeemed. I feel when the Kreuve is in him nicht goel, is veyotzo b'shnas haYovel. And the Posik sagt, the Roiv, what's the reason? Ki li bnei Yisrael avodim, avodayim, shtori koidem. I have already started with you. If I ever start with you, you can't sell to somebody else. You come to a situation that you have no money, you want to sell yourself, fine, but eventually you must come out. Das main bepnimius, die Geule Ruchnis von Mishval Matze bevelach gefindt sich. Not only is going to go out from Begashmis, from being a slave to the Goy, he's going to go out, but Ruchnis is going to be elevated again. By Matan Teuro is jeder Givoran never Hashem or Febik. When it came to Matan Teuro, each and everyone became a slave of the Eibishter. There's no interruptions in the middle, forever. And Ilui Atzmi was keiner kennes bei ihm nicht zu nehmen. Something that nobody could take it away from him. Oiba will tut noch Eperot Hashem, let's say Chas Shalom did something against the Eibishter, is sein Scheiches zu der Ra, Nimkal Avoid the Selilim, nicht mehr wer zugegebene Sache, wie sein Netzmus. His essence is, stays Ayid, it's sleeping, but he's there. What happened to him? Something was glued, something was attached to him, and that's why he went and sold himself. Warum sein Etzem ist, das was ist an Eved Hashem, kann nicht gebeten werden. You can't change it. He stays Eved Hashem. Und der Fall ist Vadai, it's for sure as Geule Tielo. Damit ist euch verstandig, die Scheich ist in this bracket, the Rebbe is going to give, by the way, very interesting Geschmack gesagt, what happens here in the Parsha. Damit ist euch verstandig, die Scheich ist von Sima Sedre zu ihrer Trolle. Wo der Posuk ist Madgis, bei Dabar Hashem, Be'ar Sinai. The Boine Shloilom. How many times we find in Chumash that the Torah says Be'ar Sinai? Why when it comes to Shemitah, in the story with selling himself, emphasizing Be'ar Sinai. I was explaining the Zagdomet to Klolos HaSedre. In this Sedre, whatever we speak about is very relevant to mention that we're talking about Ar Sinai. Why? Mitzadem was man kommt von Ar Sinai. Was dann hat sich häufig getan, der Story koidem. We just coming from Ar Sinai, and then was the idea that the Rebbe made us of slaves. Story koidem, my contract is before this, Libnei Yisrael Avodim. Is viele noch dem ganzen Seder HaYerida, Rachmon el-Islam, is Vadas Gulatile. That's why we must mention that we're talking about the Ar Sinai. The Ar Sinai gives you the koyach that the Gulatile for sure. Hey. Damit kann man euch maßlos an dem Tam, Pnimi, im Pirush Rashi und in der Radgoshe, und Arichus von Rashi, als Leika Mishpachas Geir, Everybody learned the chitas yesterday. What does it say? Anim kal avodas elilim atzmo. He sells himself to avoid the zorah. But what? Lios lo shamesh. He's not taking it as what should I say? Is God? He's not taking it as his idol to serve it. And lachtoi veitzim velishev mai. The Rebbe asked a beautiful question. Where's Rashi taking it from? The Choyre is nicht moving from wann it nimmt Rashi as das ist veloyle leus. Heute mit dem was ton nicht sein kenim kal avodes elilim leus ist der Choyre zu verkaufen sich lios lo shamesh na viele blois zu sein anem kal noch nicht. You want to say why does Rashi say that it's not to serve? Because you're not allowed to serve idols. The same thing as you're not allowed to serve idols. You're not allowed to sell yourself to the avodah zorah. Not only this, you're not even allowed to sell yourself just to a goy bechlal. So why does Rashi say it? Now the midbavor and Rashi comes here to emphasize something very special. As a fila azayid, for Sarob gefallen as so niederig bis zu Tachlis Hayrid Rachmonsa. We talk about a Jew that fell down to such a level, the lowest that could be. The kolze is the shaykh hazal sich verkaufen lavodes elilim lelos. It's impossible that he should sell himself to serve the idols. Weil das ist a dovo shei efshar klal, los from the alter Rebbe quotation. Warum euch eider wird nigal, when he still sold to the avodes elilim, is nicht in der Matze, was bei ihm ist chas v'sholem, nicht dort, dass sie kochen von Obish Bashomayim. Ist noch abgetrotten und schlaft. He has the idea that there is Aid and the Rebster is his God. But what? It's in a way of sleeping. It's nicht bottle geworden, Chochma Shebenefesh. It's not gone. Es ist nur, kediuk, lo shenatanye, alter Rebbe says, lo shen, b'chinas shino. Und der Fall, again, der alter Rebbe sloshim, wenn kommt zu an Soyim bedvar emune b'Shem echad, the master is going to tell him that you have to bow down and accept it as your idol. Because those returns are pnimius and nefesh. Pnimius and nefesh is awake. It's just covered, but the pnimius is there. Chochma shebenefesh is the spoil as is oiro mishnoso. He wakes up this sleeping, and the lost nicht als soll durchfallen in dem sein. He's never going to do it. Und noch mehr, sie der lost nicht viele achitzenisch die machshove dibu oder meise bleimunne bleibt klar, was ist neged emunah sabachot. The Choyre could say that, you know what, if the boss is going to say, I'll give you a lot of money, bow down. He's going to say, you know what, it's an idea. Maybe I should bow down. And in my mind, in my mouth, I'm going to bow down and say, it's nothing, it's a stone, somebody made it. It's shtusim. He's not going to do this either. Not even machshov and dibur is not going to be disconnected from maybe just with buying that. And therefore, can it sein, as I will sich verkaufen leleus? I feel it's to turn this blame on. Now, by myself, Rashi is emphasizing it. Rashi knows that it's an impossibility that he should sell himself to Lekus. Is madgish just to serve the avodah zorah. The niederigste Yeride was can sein by Eden. What's the lowest level that Aid could come? When Chochma shebenefesh is b'china sheine, lule inyan apchire very gishmak. Aid beteva could not do it. What the Rebbe gave free, if not, it's bottled the whole world. This bottle. There's no more idea of creation that we should have a Yetzirah. And a Yetzer Toivu Bocharto B'Chaim. If Aid could not do it, and he's not going to ever do it, there's no prayer, there's no world. That means nothing, the whole idea. So the Rebbe says, Lule in a prayer. Is blois zu verkaufen sich lässt. The only thing what he could do, lios lo shamesh, lachter veitzin, velishoy mein. Oishvok. Gebal das Prinas Azikorin. That this is Chochma. The Rebbe is adding on in 51. It says in Torah, the Chochme u moya chazikorin. Talk about Chochma, it's moya chazikorin. Weil das Prinas Azikorin, this is Chochma, shebenefesh von dem Nimka lenoch is beprinas Shine. We established that this Chochma shebenefesh, the higher level from Chochma is sleeping. Bizer is keilu givor ois balabos of sich. He lost his entity. He lost his. He's not ruling over himself either. He came to a point that he has no choice. Is meshubet another nochi. He sold himself to another nochi. Biz to so low lavodas elilim atzmo. He sold himself to avodas elilim. In azam matze bisfarim nicht meglach zu sich allein goil sein mit der klal ein chovush mater atzmo in beis asuri. Now we're going to come to understand why, although he's the closest to himself, so Veisigo Yoda Vinigal should be the first one. It's an impossibility. It can be. You came to such a level that you're not ruling over yourself. You sold yourself to the worst thing. You wouldn't be able to take yourself.
It's not possible. But the end we say
The Rebbe is explaining Veisigo Yoda in a different way. It's coming up. Sein Geule vom Kummen, sein Geule muss kam, ist Russe de Leine. Echa von seinem Matze. Somebody should take him out. Durch dem was andere. Seine nicht meshubet zu anal. I'm in jail, I could not get out. Somebody is outside, could take me out. Wo seine nicht meshubet zu anal, seine im Goel und der Fall steht zum allerersten der Ringen von Geulas Kreuvi, and not from him. Very geschmack in 53 on the bottom. No, Gam Rabbi Seinu Balatoisvus can. In Agule, Rabbi speaking the whole thing about Ruchnias. When I bring proof of the Balatoisvus, talking about Ruchnias. Where do we see? Shein Agule can Meramis Lagule, Mishibut Malchies. Where do we see it? So the Balatoisvus say, Echot Me'echov Oidoidoi, where HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ben Doidoi, Ze Melech HaMoshiach. What is it, Tigo Yodoi?
Son of God.
What is it, Tigo Yodoi? Mitzvah Shchroya Shebe Yodoi. And what happens? The Rebbe brings further. What happens when Lo Yigol Be'ele Shlo Yikima Mitzvahs? He doesn't have Tigo Yodoi. He doesn't have mitzvahs. Mikol Mokom, the Rebbe says, Lo Yanichem Begolus Elo Veyotzo B'Shnas HaYovel. Sheim Shech HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'Yovel, and he's going to take him out. Okay, let's go inside. The Sarus de Leile is nicht Saroishleppen ihm von sein Spalamasse. You must have somebody else. We can't start with Veisigo Yodo. The Tachlis is aber nicht. Now we come to the answer. Why? If this is the story, why do mention Bachlal Veisigo Yodo? Don't mention Veisigo Yodo. Only somebody else has to take him out from jail. Rabbi Zgino made very geschmack. After somebody takes him out, teach him and give him the koyach, he should do it himself. He shouldn't fall out again. Don't always sustain him. Give him the care to do it himself. Elevate him to such a level that his chokhmah shebenefesh should be open and he should be ruling over himself and not do it. This
point, that's a difference from the Baal Shem Tov. Shem Tov would take people out of what they call them. He would collect money for Kiddush Shivuyim. He himself would take them out of this. Now, that would take the money from the Navins and all the blood, and he invested and he created. People should pay that land.
And as Rebbe is mentioning in the next paragraph also, where do we see it? We see it in Gashmis also. Gashmis, there's a halacha in Rambam of Inyan of Tzedakah. The Rambam is counting out 8 levels of Tzedakah. One level is that you put one of the Tanoim would put a bag in, an open bag in bag of him, and there's money, and the guy who got it knew who gave it to him. But the guy who gave didn't know who took it because he didn't see it. Then there's a way that you know who you gave, he doesn't know where it's coming. Or you know who you're giving, he doesn't know from where. Because the guy that's taking from the back knows who's giving it. There's all kind of situations what is higher and higher and higher. What's the highest level of tzedakah the Rambam says? Exactly. Either give him a loan, open him up a business, or give him a job. Take him into somebody, take him in, he's a very good worker. That's not always to sustain him. Same thing is here. Let's get inside. The Tachlis is aber nicht, dass soll Keseder darf man ankommen zu der Reserves andere. This is not a Tachlis. Always you have to sustain him and take him out of jail. So megale sein Nimius. That's what we have to do. Was is never the Shem. Kniska level. Durch dem ist ein Gule. Na neufem azer mitzat atzmo ich emer nicht shaykh zu sei rede. Veisigo yodoy. It goes in a Seder. First you have to take him out. And who has to take him out? The closest to him. Why? Because whoever is closest to him is going to have more effect on him. A brother could have an effect on somebody more than an uncle or a cousin. That's why the Torah gives it also in order. Baruch is. Although this is in Gashmias, as mentioned, as the best time is was man can give him a money. Don't give him $1. You give him $1 tomorrow, another $1 and another $1. This is not a. It's not a way of life. Ihm wegzustellen ist wegzustellen ihm in a Matzev, was darf schon mehr nicht ankommen zu Brio ist. Der Rambam in Ilchus Matnes Anim says this is the highest level of stocking. Das ist der Tam Pnimi, was das Sima Posik ist Sigo Yodo Vinigal. Now we'll understand. What does mean Sigo Yodo? Der Tachlis und der Geulas Kroivim ist, der Oif to Azer Alein soll sich kennen Goel sein, Bekoyach Atzmoi. According to this, now we have both questions, very hard questions. Both of them are gone. It doesn't say because the Indian teaches us why could he come to a point he should come to such a level after the Rebbe says Avodah Yeh? Because he's missing his Av. That's why the Torah doesn't mention the Av. Av could redeem it. No question about it. If he has Av, he has to redeem it. He's the first one because he's the closest to him. Why does it say Vesigo Yoda by the end? The shouldn't say Bechlal, as we understood now. The idea is after you take him out, give him the end with the Vesigo Yoda. He should be able to elevate himself. By time now the Rebbe says is the Seder von Gulas Kroivim in a Neufung von a Korev Koide. That's what the Torah is emphasizing. It doesn't say anybody who's related should save him. No, it goes with a Seder. There's a mitzvah that say whoever the father is first as the first mitzvah say. He doesn't have money, the brother. You don't have money, go to uncle. But the mitzvah is on the first one to do. Whoever has the money is the father. Why is it so important? Kol hakorev koidem in Ruchnies. Weil das darf moer sein die Pnimis dicke und dann auch die gezähne dicke Kirche von dem Ewe. They have to awaken him that he should be able to do it himself. Bis das soll sich kennen Goel sein bekoach Hatzmoi, der Riber, was nennt der Korovis zum Evet, the closer you are, is more als Nimisdiker wird sein, die Aspoe und Wirkung in der Säurerus von dem Evet. As more you closer, you more be able to have an effect on him.
Father has the
100%, yes, in both places. By Nachlas and by ear.
say it.
Yeah, right. We don't say it, but in Nigle, we don't understand why. In Primis, we have a Geschmack answer why it is. And very unbelievable. We see the Rebbe's Gain, the Rebbe's Shite. The Ramban has a question by Nachlas. Ear doesn't have a question. And there he answers something. The Rebbe says, I can accept it so good. The Sibbe of Shorus of der Yeride is Morumes Mudgesh in der Onim from the Sedrek is Avelos. Now the Rebbe is going to answer that not the connection, everything is connected. The beginning of the Parsha is connected to the story why he's selling himself. The Chatrilevi said that we're using the Ar Sinai to tell us that because of Ar Sinai, that's why he's going to give you Olatira, no question about it. And the Rebbe is going to say another thing, what we see in the beginning of the Parsha, how Ayit could come to that. The Sibbe of Shorus of der Yeride is Morumes Mudgesh in der Onim from the Sedrek is Avelos. Mitzad dem Vasiden gehen rein in der Neretz Neshoves, wo man darf sich führen Leute Ranogas Hateva. Sheishonim Tizra Sodecha v'goyma. The parsha starts with Sheishonim grabbing into the throat. Sheishonim Tizra Sodecha. Nicht wie im Midbar, wo man es gewähnt ausgetan von den Jonen Olamase. Nothing to do with Olamase. Man hat gegessen Lechem in Hashamayim man. Getrunken vom Beiro shel Miriam. Und getrunken Levushim, was der Nana Kovedo Yishof and Megatzim. Not only the Levushim didn't have to be washed. The clouds washed it, and they pressed it, even something else. Koda Levushim Imoim. The kids who came out children, they grow up, the clothing was growing with them. And very interesting, this is all everything in Midbar. You're coming into Eretz Yisrael, you mentioned always the same thing, I love it, it's so unbelievable. The difference between Midbar and Eretz Yisrael, this could bring Ayit to this level. How many meloches we need to do to get a piece of bread? A third of all 39 meloches. Mami, either 12 or 13. I always forget.
Consider the parts.
Huh? I have a mental block, either 12 or 13. 11? Okay, so now I can take off the mental block. Remember that it's 11, not 12, not 13. Anyway, but that's very interesting. Almost a third of the meloches is about a piece of bread. That's why I could bring Ayit to such a situation. Let's see inside. Give us a note of the Yerida now. This gives a place of this Yerida. Der Fall wird euch klar beworben mit Chilas Sedre. Another point. As bald man kommt mit Koyach von Ar Sinai. Die teure Dosis ist dann bei ihm Hashem el Moshe, Sheishonim Tizra Sodecha, Kisaboy el Oretz. No, by Ar Sinai. When you're coming into Israel, I'm mentioning you that you're coming from Ar Sinai. You have the Koyach from Ar Sinai. Bald man kommt mit Koyach von Ar Sinai ist eine sichere Sache. Als nicht nur wird man allein bleiben ganz. There's a double. Not only you're going to be fine. Geuleti Eloi, you wouldn't have to sell yourself. No, mit euch boys an Abiru Veilu in dem Eretz. You're coming into Eretz Nesheves. It's Eretz Knan. But you're going to make it into Eretz Yisrael. You're going to elevate the Eretz Yisrael with the mitzvahs that you're going to do in planting and in plowing and all the things, with Shmite, with everything. What is it that you have to leave? No, pay and all these things. But yeah, like a chicken, with all these mitzvahs, you're elevating in the land also. As the macht von Eretz Knan, you make it Eretz Yisrael. And in Eretz Yisrael, biz Shav Saoretz, Shabbos Lashem, becomes a Shabbos Lashem. Tmura instead, was is given a Metzius when Avodah Zarah. Rebbe says very interesting. How could he sell to himself to Avodah Zarah in Eretz Yisrael? Because there is Avodah Zarah. Eventually, it's going to come. There's going to be nowhere to sell yourself. Tmura was is given a Metzius when Avodah Zarah in Eretz Yisrael. So welcher Ayit kann sich verkaufen Rachmon el Islam? What's going to happen then? The Torah is using a very interesting word. The Torah is not saying that he's selling himself Avodah Zarah. No, but the Torah is using Eika Mishpachas Ger. So Rashi and everybody gives explanation why it says Eika. The Rebbe says, but Tosfos says a completely different age. Why is it called Eika? If you're Tosfos, Shesoifo Li'oka is going to be uprooted. There's going to be no more. So you wouldn't be able to do it, even God forbid. It does Avere. There's nobody to sell yourself to. Es wird Ne'eka, uproot. Der ganze Reim von Avodah Zarah, והדרה בסצם ושוב צהורס שבס לשם, מזד בגילוי ושיז לי האורץ.